Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome on into the swear word. I'm your host, Brandon Swear, and hey, this is a podcast for the chilihead community by the chilihead community. Regardless of your spice tolerance, this is the place for you. Up tonight, we have an amazing episode on deck. We have a great hot sauce company popping up out of Kansas City, making a name for themselves, and of course, a great product featured here on Hot or Not. So, episode 183 starts now. What's going on, Swear Nation? So glad to have everyone here. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, and or Apple Podcasts, thank you so much for being here and continuing to make this podcast what it is. Continue to share this out with other like-minded chiliheads or individuals that are curious about the world of hot. This is where you can find everything to do with the world of hot. Up tonight, speaking of the world of hot, we're going to be talking to Jason from The Heatland. So we're going to be talking about what Kansas City's newest up-and-coming hot sauce company has in store and where they are wanting to go, the road they took to get there, and, of course, much, much more. So we'll be diving on into that, as well as we have one product here from the Heatland on deck for the overall Hot or Not product side of the review. So we'll be diving on into that. And of course, if you want to check out the full breakdown for that, go head on over to Scorchin' and Swearin', and you can check that on out there for the full breakdown. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump into tonight's Hot or Not. All right, hey, welcome on into Hot or Not. If this is your first time checking out Hot or Not, I do things a little bit different here. I don't do a 1 out of 10 scale. I do 1 out of 5, and that's really based off of 5 different categories. Those categories are heat, aroma, flavor, versatility, and burn. And yes, I do differentiate heat and burn as 2 separate things. Heat is that first initial max 30 seconds that you're getting hit with that overall flash. Afterwards, that post 30, that's where that burn starts to transition. What you'll start to notice is either the heat dies off, the heat amplifies, it starts to migrate, it gives a false peak. There's so many different ways in which that burn characteristics really start to set in, and that's what the differentiator between those two are. Now, another thing I don't like to do is read the ingredients ahead of time. I like to let my taste buds do the exploration. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the one from a Heatland. As you can see here, great overall visual representation to the labeling here. Very clear what is going on. So this is their everyday carry sauce. This is the one from Heatland. Visual appeal to the color of this sauce. It is a nice reddish brown color to it. You see little bits of the overall seeds, the peppers, etc. going on in the sauce. So you do see some nice texture bits. So looking forward to that. But let's go ahead and give this one a good shake. For those that are keeping track, yes, this does have a perforation on the cellophane. Beautiful overall color, nice flow. Looks like a high flow sauce. Great overall aroma here. Nice savory notes. You're picking up what smells like some onions, some garlic. Definitely a little bit of the vinegar and spices, but the pepper notes are just ever so slightly dancing on the nostrils on that trailing end of the overall aroma. So looking forward to it. And hey, let's go ahead and give this one a good pour. Oh, beautiful flow. I'm liking the overall texture to this. It gives it a nice little balance between the two, but let's go ahead and jump on into it. Man, oh man. Oh, that is so good. Yes, right off the bat, giving it a nice little swish around, get it nice fully incorporated in the mouth. Got to get all those taste buds active and awake, ready to go. And man, oh man, everyday carry is absolutely jam-packed with a lot of savory flavor right up front. You know, even though it is a higher flow sauce, it doesn't get lost on you in the sense of having that bits of texture in there. The seeds, the pulp, all these things kind of give that bit of that flavor, that pop, kind of carrying forward. So absolutely phenomenal. I'm salivating like crazy over this. But let's talk about the overall heat on this one. So if you're just starting out, can you enjoy this? Yes, in moderation, easily enjoy this and still appreciate it. Where would someone say this would be on the scale if you were, maybe dabbling in hot sauce, but not fully pushing yourself? This is going to be for those individuals right there in that medium to higher heat. And then for those that are constantly working on your own personal best, you're pushing yourself. This is a nice medium heat sauce, higher medium, depending on where your tolerance is at. But overall, nice medium heat sauce for you. Makes perfect sense for exactly what the overall intent and goal here of an everyday sauce and everyday carry. So I can see where this is a beautiful, harmonious balance between the two. It is a nice lingering burn. That flash of heat right up the front for the heat is nice and quick, fully mouth encompassing. The burn, it parks the back of the throat, and then it just kind of sits there. It starts to ramp up the dial, nice little sizzle going on there. Maybe a little bit of stinging on the tongue and lips, but all in all, phenomenal stuff. Nothing really burning in the chest or in the stomach. All in all, definitely snackable, definitely one that I could see myself using and using a lot of, really easy and really fast. So very, very well done there on that flavor and the heat and the aroma. Now, from a versatility standpoint, where could I see myself using this? Immediately thinking Bloody Marys. So like mixed drinks could be great in that real realm. Tacos, pizzas, burgers, sandwiches, you name it. This could also go great mixed in with, say, some other, like if you were wanting to make a spicy dip of some sort, utilize some of that, whip it on in there, and you have a nice spicy dip that is going to be saved for everyone at that point. Because as you start to cut that heat, it'll make that more palatable for those that maybe not liking too much of the heat in general, right? So all in all, phenomenal stuff there. But I'm curious, let's go ahead and check out these ingredients here. Reaper peppers, white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, carrot, celery, onion, and then brown sugar, salt, black pepper, yellow mustard, garlic, Worcestershire, carrot, celery, onion, xanthan gum. Absolutely love what you got going on here, Heatland, with everyday carry. If you would like to pick up yourself a bottle, I'll have the direct links down below for it. Hey, Jason, how's it going?
It's going great, man. How are you?
Doing great. Glad to have you here. Obviously, I've heard some great things about what you have going on. I've been able to catch up on with some of the stuff that you have posted on social media, and love to learn more about Heatland and how you got started. I guess really the only set question here is what got you into, I guess really dabbling in the world of hot, and then what was
Yeah.
that moment that you decided, let's go ahead and launch this product?
Yeah, right on, right on. So I don't know where to begin. I've always been a fan of hot sauce, right? More just spicy food. I'm a recovering fat guy, and been a lover of food my entire life. But I've always gravitated towards heat. Okay, and it was nothing that I searched out or anything like that, but I appreciated a hot salsa or a hot sauce or hot wings. Anything that added spice to any meal. And in 2000, I had spent a career doing telecommunication sales, right? Corporate telecommunication sales for about 20 plus years, and it was okay. 2016, my life took a dramatic turn. I got really sick. Um, had a life-saving. I had to go through a life-saving liver transplant
Wow.
from 2016 to 2017. Came out through that on the other side, great. And I'm here, right? Obviously, and from there, my whole life reset, right? Everything prioritized, reprioritized, and I was just looking, right? My wife and I were given some tickets for a charity event that deals with organ donation, and part of this event was going on a tour. And so we here in Kansas City, we got to actually attend a tour of Spice. It was back then. It was called Spice and Wands, but they've since changed their name to Spice and Foods, a large food producer here in Kansas City area, and they make hot sauces. And so we got to take a tour of their facility. We're walking through and smelling the smells, and getting to see all the production. And from there, something in me clicked. I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. I tried a bunch of different hot sauces, and I thought, man, I think I could probably make my own hot sauce. So from that point forward, I set out to grow peppers, right? And so I looked up what are the hottest peppers in the world. Landed on the Reaper pepper, so I filled my garden with a bunch of plants and set out to see what happened. And of course, I mean, this story is no different than probably any hot sauce maker or any gardener who dives into the world of hot peppers. But once you grow, 5 or 6 plants of Carolina Reapers, you get your harvest. You sit down, you look, you think, what the hell am I going to do with all these peppers now, man? So I froze them, I dehydrated them, I made salsas, I made hot sauces. I put it in absolutely everything. I was addicted to the heat at that point, right? Couldn't get anything hotter. I really started to break down why do I like this pepper so much? And you know what? For the Reaper pepper, the fruitiness inside of that pepper that you take when you separate out the capsaicin, it really hit. And I was like, man, I love this flavor. And so I started thinking, well, could I stretch that out? Could I accentuate that? And how do you do that, right? And so I started toying around with just making hot sauces. Started making them in my kitchen, making them for friends and family. Made my first sauce in 2018.
Okay.
Um, and from there, I just started going through the cycle, right? I'd make a small batch of 12, 15 bottles, hand it out to people. They're like, hey, this is great. I really like it. I like it on this. I like it on that. And then I'd add different things, and I go through so many different variations. And I kept coming back to an original recipe that I started with, that was pretty simple. And it was the one that just kept pulling me back in. I kept thinking about it and thinking about it, and I started to refine it. And I got away from trying to do any more novelty stuff and changing the drastically changing my recipe, and I tried to refine it. And once I did, I spent about the next 4 years tinkering with it and shifting it and trying to experiment with what different ingredients do to the pepper. And realize that, hey, if I can use fresh juices from vegetables, right,
Yep.
and really be able to attack that pepper at the front end to pull away the initial sting, so you can provide that fruitiness, provide an overwhelming balanced flavor, and then let that heat creep in, right? To let the Reaper do its work. Let it come in at the end and level everything off with a nice heat that builds, and then washes away. So your next bite, you have another one, right? So you got to get that craving. It wasn't designed something to destroy your mouth,
Mm-hmm.
destroy your taste buds, and melt everything you taste, but really accentuate, right? So that you can kind of power your food level, and you can put as much of the one on on your food as you'd like for
Mm-hmm.
your heat level, or you can just take a couple drops and it accentuates it. So I think what I've been able to do with it, and why I named it the one, is because it's the only one I make. It's the Heatland's flagship product, and it's the one that has carried me through, and that's what it is. It's my everyday carry, and I use it on absolutely everything from eggs in the morning to late night pizzas, right? So, and everything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. And many things you said amongst that, obviously stood out in the sense of like things to kind of dive a little bit deeper into. But
You bet.
something that you mentioned too right there towards the end was the idea of like having that everyday carrier, the one to really kind of be universal in all the needs.
Right.
And I feel like far too often it's one of those main sought out things, but realistically situation or choice overload kind of kicks in, and then our interest and curiosities kind of get the best of us, and next thing you know we have
Yeah.
like 15, 20 different sauces in front of us, and we're like, well, I really like this one with this, but I actually also like it with that one. And then you're kind of having that situation overload. So I can see where honing it in and really keeping that focus in on the flagship product can definitely make sense. I mean, one, you're spending a lot more time, attention, and focus on that product, but then also two, you're really being able to carve out more of that target market and that intended use case. So
Yeah, absolutely. And the intent really was, it's part of, it's probably 50% of, by design, and the other 50% just purely OCD, right? Just staying laser focused on one thing to make sure that you do it right. And I don't know that it took me a long time to figure out, hey, I think I've got something, and how do I make it the best it possibly can? And I went through the regular growth patterns of, hey, there's like 4 or 5 sauces I like.
hmm
And these are 4 or 5 sauces I can make. Should I invest my time and focus on those 4 sauces and take away from one that I think is the best? Or should I just focus on it and put everything absolutely into it, right?
yep,
When I thought of the everyday carry sauce, it was more designed for providing a high level heat and a balanced flavor that can sit on any table, right? You go to a restaurant, and every table will have the standard setup of salt, pepper, ketchup, and mustard, and maybe mayonnaise. And occasionally you'll see some hot sauce, but you have to ask for it. And typically, when you do, you're getting a Tabasco, maybe a Cholula, or a low level ubiquitous sauce. And so
hmm
my thought was, why can't there be better heat available on our tables, right? So my initial goal is to bring the cost to make my sauce down to a comparable level to match that, right? So that you're not making a tough choice buying an artisan sauce, and spending $7 or $8 on a sauce that you could go out and buy a Tabasco for 2 or 3 at the store, right? So trying to
yeah.
bring that gap in a little bit closer, to reach more people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and something that you had mentioned as well, and to tie back into exactly what you were just talking to a second ago as well, but the thought process through the, really crafting, the fine tuning before really the product even fully came to light, per se, right?
Yeah.
The different iterations that we're going through here. You were mentioning kind of like trying different sauces. Were they all still the one, but just like minor tweaks, or were you combining for different flavor profiles, like completely different sauces?
Yeah, completely different flavor profiles, right? So I tried to use, I really love the Reaper peppers.
hmm
So I used a bunch of different variations from just the standard red to yellows and chocolates, and then different fruit juices. And I tried to stay, I be, being able to make it in your own kitchen, right, and starting on a small scale, it gives you the opportunity to use products that you can't really use commercially at a scale.
hmm
So using fresh vegetables was key for me, right? I could grow them in my backyard. I could take my carrots and my celery and my onions, and use them and use them for my flavor profiles. And so I started to experiment more with, well, what happens if I, add fruit to it? And I made a blueberry sauce, a blueberry Reaper sauce that was fabulous on eggs, right?
hmm
And then when I tried it on chicken, I was like, not so much, right? And so then I got to, okay, well, just like everybody out there who, and you'd mentioned it too, that likes hot sauce, you open up your pantry or your refrigerator, wherever you keep it, you're like, man, I got 9 bottles of hot sauce. What am I going to grab? And
Yep.
so that's when it really triggered. I was like, okay, I don't want to use 4 different sauces for 4 different meals, right? I want one sauce that I can use across the board. And so that shifted my focus. It really shifted my focus into, instead of trying to match individual sauces with meals and flavor profiles, let's find one that can carry me across the board on everything I put it on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and something that you had mentioned as well, it's like the outlook, the focus on that. You're honing it into one product line, but and really, it sounds like you have kind of an arsenal of ideas, if you will, compiled, ready to go.
Yeah.
I guess the next thought to this whole thing is essentially with the reservoir, if you will, of hot sauce recipes and the current one out there. Now, once you I guess I should start here. Are you 100% like confident, like certain this is it, this is the one? And the reason why I ask that is here's the second part. Once you get to the level of, I guess comfort, acceptance, that you're okay 100% with the sauce, because I understand the focus and the attention to detail. It is a different craft whenever you're talking in that sense. So is this something that, like, once you feel the time is right, then you're going to add an additional sauce to the line, or is this just going to be it? Is the
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, it is the one. And I think when you try it, you realize,
Yeah.
man, I don't need anything else, right? And that was really the goal. Now, forecast map of where I see myself growing.
Yep.
Different product lines, right? And so that was the intent in the original. And so when I started this whole journey, right, it was never about building. There wasn't a business plan.
Yeah.
It was built off of curiosity, right? What can I do with this? And so that is I'm trying to carry that through into other aspects. I see the Heatland not only as a hot sauce brand, but really a brand for flavor sovereignty. So that across different flavor or across different profiles, right? So the intent would be to our next product rollout are going to be in the realm of I'm working on spicy mustard. I'm
Okay.
working on a barbecue sauce. I'm in
Yep.
Kansas City, and I've tried to stay away from barbecue sauce. Everybody makes one, and everyone's good. And you don't have to go far in Kansas City to find good barbecue sauce, right? But I've got some flavor profiles that I'm going to try. I'm really addicted to chili oil right now. I would
Okay.
love to start working into that as well. I've got
Yep.
a few recipes, but that's a hard one. And so those are some of the pillars that we're going to try to tackle next. But as far as the hot
Okay.
sauce realm, I think we've nailed it.
Yep.
I'm really happy with the flavor profile. If there were anything different down the line, and maybe some variations. My kids like to say, "Hey, for the holidays, you could do this, and you can bring back this one." And they have some favorites that they've liked in the past that I've made, and
Yep.
they're like, "Hey, you should make that." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not as good as the one." So,
Yep.
but that's where I see us growing outside of the realm of really just a hot sauce, and into more of a flavor brand.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that absolutely lines up. So this is exactly where I was thinking that, with this whole thing is realistically having this reservoir of, recipes, if you will. The idea, as you mentioned, with your kids having favorites, etc. It sets it up perfectly for you to have those kind of come in as like a seasonal or a
Yeah,
promotional or whatever you want to call it. But that's a cool way to still be able to utilize that, because obviously you spent the time, you spent the effort, you've already navigated those waters. Might as well just not let them go completely to the side. And then
sure.
something that you mentioned, of course, with the business model, the intent, the focus, the plan ahead. Your battle is not necessarily one that, very true to what you were saying earlier. Your typical, hot sauce company is going to take, right. They're not going to take that battle up against, say, your every common find table sauce, competing price wise. That gap is something that is oftentimes just hands washed of, and it's like, okay, we're going to operate essentially as if these guys don't exist.
Right.
And no harm, no foul on either outlook, but it's just too. It's I guess the main thing I'm trying to point out for anyone that's watching, listening, and they're trying to figure out how does this whole thing map out. It's two different outlooks in business models and trajectories. Um, it's still the same intended goal of flavor. It's still the same intended goal of, bringing families together, bringing people together over a common shared, bond of this food, of everything that you're bringing more of the, almost like a brand experience to it, because with the idea of rolling out the spicy mustard, without rolling out the barbecue sauce, except all the different areas, the chili oils, etc. You're now, you're positioning yourself in a different light, and that part's really cool to see. With the, you know, initial entry into focusing on health and health conscious life decisions, how has that kind of impacted your R&D for, say, products?
Yeah, so my focus has been trying to keep as few ingredients as possible into the sauce, right? And there are some with the one that are still in there only because of the way it was developed, right?
Mm-hmm.
From going from my kitchen to a commercial kitchen, when you scale, you have to make some changes, right?
Yeah.
So moving away from peppers that I can grow, even though I still have a freezer full of probably 2 to 3 years worth of frozen dehydrated peppers to use, I can't grow what I need to scale. So I go out to outside vendors for that. Now I still utilize fresh squeezed vegetables in all of my sauces, and that's important, right? Because I think that flavor profile adds a lot to it.
Mm-hmm.
It adds balance, and so that's that. And then so keeping minimal ingredients to keep that smooth was an intent, and that's something I'm carrying over into the additional sauces that I'm researching, and different products that I'm researching as well, to try to keep that main focus of simple ingredients, clean ingredients, and not a lot of additives.
Yep. Yep. No, I think it's a great area. It's a great avenue, and yes, to true to what you're saying, being in Kansas City, you're going to have a lot of issues in the sense of competition wise in the barbecue space, because
Sure.
yeah, there's quite a few there, but at the same time, very true to with the hot sauce, with the barbecue sauce, there's no there's no reason to say no to more sauce. So
Correct. Right, absolutely. And my approach to my barbecue sauces that I've been working on so far is really that same thing that I set out with the one, which was try to add a level of heat
hmm
to a popular flavor profile, right? And I think by using the Reaper pepper again, it brings a level of heat through any meal, and it's just about how you paint it, right? It's
yep.
how you control it, and so that's I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that next venture.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited to hear about this. The spicy mustard. I absolutely love
It's good.
mustards.
I've been it's an old recipe that very simple, and my family's been making it for since my grandfather was making it for my dad when he was a boy. And so we've always had it, and I just started tinkering with it, and I'm like, man, I like this. And so adding some stuff to it and smoothing it out and polishing it up, it's good. It's really good. And so it's a unique flavor. That I'm still working on, but we're getting close.
Do you like more of the like tart, the more vinegar esque type of mustards, or do you like that nice
Yeah.
creamy, savory type of mustard?
No, I'm a vinegar nut. So that was part of the of my journey with making my hot sauce was, fermenting or not fermenting and vinegar based, and really the vinegar based sauces attracted me more than anything. And
hmm
so that flavor profile is important. And so I think that's where my foundation will go for every product I do. So that vinegar tart, powered with a Reaper for the heat.
Yeah, no, I like it. Sounds amazing. Look forward to that one. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. So then I guess business model focus is more geared towards, say, restaurants, big box store, more that avenue, or are you still going to do more direct to consumer?
Yeah, no, we're a combination of all. I mean, that's where we've been, right? So, launching in October was interesting. My schedule got pushed back through working with different co-packers and finding that navigating that terrible world. So I got delayed by about 8, 9 months, and then so when I finally rolled out in October and I had my first batch run, I'm set with, okay, we're coming into winter. And my plan was to hit markets, be at farmers markets, be out hitting sauce, right? Festivals, and now I'm coming into winter, and all that's closing up. So I shifted a little bit. I had to attack online selling, my website, try to get word of mouth going that way through social media,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally was able this spring to at the end of February to get to our first farmers market, and get out there and start seeing people, right? And so that's going to be our goal. We built it through community. We're
Uh-huh.
building it through the farmer market presence, festival presences. We're also located in locally here in Kansas City in Made in Kansas City stores. There are 11 locations, retailer. We're getting in the shelves with Hy-Vee, which is a regional grocery store chain throughout the Midwest, and just yesterday expanded our market presence down to the Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay.
So we're growing we're growing at a good clip.
Yep.
Now that we're actually into a market space on a regular basis, I'm seeing a more continual growth. Our goal is to be a combination of retail and wholesale. And I've also branched out. Part of my background in corporate sales was channel management programs, right? And so I managed other vendors selling other products. So I've tried to fold that same presence into what I've created was the Heat Dealers Network, and it's an affiliate network where anyone who likes the sauce can sell my sauce, and earn get money back for selling, for referring it, right? So we've got, in the short time from launch to now, we've got about 55 affiliates out there actively selling hot sauce across social media for us.
Nice.
And so managing that will be a way that we capitalize our online efforts. Our website available, obviously. And then locally through marketplaces, and then we're venturing into different butcher shops and boutiques for retail, but then also talking to some restaurants about getting on not only their counters to sell to their customers, but
Yeah.
actually on their tables.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, hey, that is the model forward. That's 100%. If you can land on those tables in the restaurant, then you know that you're hitting that kind of threshold of what you're aiming for, right? You're now
Yeah.
competing in that price range that a lot of these business owners and establishments are going to be trying to gear towards to help kind of one, obviously move product on their end, but obviously move product on your end. So, very
Yeah.
cool. Very, very cool. I
Yeah, and
mean,
the hope is, right, is with the cost variance, right? Because we're not far off, right? If you look, not to get too nerded out, but if you look into the wholesale cost of what restaurants pay for Tabasco, and to supply their Tabasco on their tables, that they currently give away for free, right, to a
mm,
customer, they give it away for free and they don't get any revenue. My model is my costing is within 15% of a Tabasco wholesale cost, right? And when customers try the sauce and they use it at the table and they want to take it out with them, you can actually sell it as well. You can sell it through your restaurant right there, as a item add-on for you, and it's been successful so far. So we've got a test case that is working, and it's making profit for both the restaurant and for the Heatland. So
Yeah.
hopefully that grows.
Yeah, no, that is an interesting way to go about it because yes, you have the business owners, the restaurant owners that are, obviously conscious of inventory, conscious of space
Absolutely.
allocation, and to be able to have now kind of a double-edged sword in that sense. One, they're utilizing it on their food, they're enhancing their experience at the restaurant, but now it's like, oh, I love this so much, I want to go home with it.
Yeah.
Most other places would say that's great. You can go down to XYZ store and pick up this bottle from there. But now you're giving them that quick outlet. So I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and say, hey, it's a simple question for the waitress to ask. To say, hey, do you want to add heat to your menu? And for a simple $10 ad, you not only get to add heat to your menu, but you get to take home your own bottle of the Heatland hot sauce with you.
Yeah. Hey, I like it. Now, I guess from that standpoint, you said the 55 affiliates. Is that encompassing any of those locations that are, say,
No,
housing it? Okay.
completely separate. Completely separate.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of a different that we have multiple different silos of revenue generation, right?
Yep.
So myself through online, my affiliates, and then my wholesaling efforts, and then obviously in person sales through marketplace.
Yeah, yeah, no, I like it, and something that you're talking about is a big ask for anyone that might not be familiar. Trying to navigate these different channels as you're talking about it's ultimately you got personnel juggling in any of these sectors is its own feat, but then to
Yeah,
have multiple different groups, I'm sure obviously different pain points per different areas. So it's a lot of moving pieces. Is this something that you're just tackling on your own, or
yeah.
having a team kind of help operate this with you?
Now my team's right here, and right here, right?
Yep.
So it's me. You kind of bootstrap it, and not all ideas work. But I'm not supposed to be here today, right? I'm not supposed to be doing any of this.
Yep.
So when I think to myself, well, can I do that? Well, sure. I mean, hell, give it a shot. I mean, I when I looked at this and I thought, okay, can I make a go of selling hot sauce? Can I make a go of making hot sauce? And how would I want to do it? And I thought, I don't know. Well, I'll try. I'll throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And so
Mm-hmm.
far, I didn't know if having an affiliate program would work. I figured I hadn't seen it done. I know how they work.
Yeah.
They work in telecom. They work in every other industry. Why can't they work here? So I thought I'm going to give it a shot. And is it perfect? No. But does it give people who are looking for an avenue into trying to become an influencer and generate
Mm-hmm.
revenue that way? It gives them a way to test out different different themes, different approaches, and see if it's something they can learn from and generate revenue for them, right? And if they can learn while I'm learning, man, we all win. We all win. So at the end of the day, who knows? Who knows if any of this works? And I've shifted in the last 12 months so many times that I know there's going to be more shifts coming up, and we'll see what happens. But really, the goal is simple: is keep making this good hot sauce and get it in as many people's hands as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and something that you mentioned is, of course, making these adjustments. You kind of have to do that on the fly, and then obviously, it's something that clearly is not going to be, I guess, a pain point. A lot of folks will go out to markets and they'll hear, feedback, input, things that might want changes, tweaks, this, that, and the other, right? And then some will just take that fully to heart. It doesn't matter if one person out of 100 said it or if all 100 said it. They're going to make that change happen. And that's where I've seen these things get very, the wheels fall off. You're sliding
Yeah.
downhill on this, whenever that happens. But to know that you're able to still get that input, you're still able to, push forward and expand in other avenues instead of just being limited in, say, one area. But
Yeah.
hey, that's part of the game. Some folks like to focus in that same way. Do you find that you're having better traction, or are you starting to kind of navigate, say, like, for I know this is not the case, but like for sake of like online sales, like, okay, well, this isn't working. Obviously, we're not closing online sales, but like, are you starting to close down avenues or outlets that maybe just aren't seeing fruitful for you?
Yeah, so you have to, it's a process to figure out what works and what doesn't, right? So, initially trying to, I'm my my background and my understanding of social media was zero before I started this. Like, I wasn't on social media.
Uh-huh.
I had no profiles. Starting a business, building a website, starting an X profile, Facebook, Instagram, all that crap. I just had to learn it on the go, right? Reaching out to influencers and saying, "Hey, would you like to try this? And would you like to record a video?" And all that thing, and then not seeing any kind of uptick from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you realize, well, that's a waste of time. So shift away from doing that. And how can I make it better, right? What didn't work? Why? I had somebody try it and they made a video. It was a great video. I've posted it and I get no sales.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then we learn and we move on, right? So how much time do I invest in that? I don't invest a lot of time anymore into chasing things like that, because I have other things that are revenue generating. So those shifts happen all the time with
Mm-hmm.
everything, because I mean it's a learning process. But really, the best part for me has been interaction with people at marketplaces, right? Seeing them when they try it. There's nothing more valuable than when they first take that first taste and they're waiting, and then they're like, "Oh, this is good." And then I know when the heat's going to come, and so they try to talk, and then it hits them at the same time, and that's rewarding, right? And I know that I've got it at that point. And then taking comments, or people like, "Oh, I don't like the vinegar sauce," or "This is too hot," or anything like that. All those things help. But then there are people out there in the online community that actually use the sauce, right? That have
Mm-hmm.
found me accidentally, found it on the website, ordered it, liked it, and reordered it, right? And that to me is amazing, right? Just to being able to dissect. Okay, how'd you find me?
Yep.
What did you like, and how do I recreate that? How do I find more of you, right? And so finding that is where I spend a lot of my time, is diving back into that. And so repeat business has been great for me, because when people try it, they like it, and that's been promising. That's probably been the best part. Seeing people online that are reaching out and are ordering again, and then people I run into at a marketplace here locally that say, "Hey, I bought that bottle 3 weeks ago and I love it. I'm here to get more." That's cool. So that things like that are the most rewarding parts.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, and working the markets, hearing that feedback, seeing the repeat sales. I guess from your own, I guess, start, have you gone to mostly just local markets in that sense and kind of had it grow out that way? Have you started to do some out of state, any kind of like hot sauce festivals, groups? Is that even on the radar for what you want to be potentially viewing going forward?
Yeah, I vacillate between that. There are so many hot sauce festivals and different things, and I don't I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what the lure for me is on those. And I've tried to. Would it be great to get an award and say, hey, everyone likes your sauce. You're the People's Choice Champion, or you're the the hot flaming hot award winner. Yeah, it'd be great. But for me, that's not the goal. So festivals, competition, stuff like that are secondary. More so, the local approach for me has been more important than anything. Right? I'm Kansas City born, Kansas City raised. This is my town, and I want to be the best hot sauce that Kansas City's ever tried. From there, once we have the local market, it's going to expand and grow from there. But this is where I planted my flag. This is where I want to grow, and this is where I'd be proud if the only people that used it were in Kansas City. I'd be cool with that, right? Because these are my people.
Yeah. Well, and there's something to that, like being able to hone in, being able to identify and unify, and really, you're creating once again more of a community aspect when you're doing so. So
Yeah,
yeah, to that point, you're buying into a way of life. So it's very cool approach. I like that outlook in it, and yeah, a lot of these hot sauce events and expos and stuff, sure, they may not be the cash cow. They may not be the super profitable thing for a lot of these hot sauce companies. But when you're going out there, you're typically you're getting to know others in the industry. You're trying to find essentially like mentors, or help
sure.
kind of expedite finding sourcing products and so on and so forth. Then you start to kind of figure out these things in that sense, at least as a vendor side of it, more so than say a consumer. But it's
Right on.
they're always fun. It's always great to kind of get an idea, a pulse of the path forward. And the reason why I continue to ask is just because obviously you have a much different outlook and trajectory than say your average hot sauce company in that sense. You can go pretty much talk to a lot of these that are starting out, and their initial mindset is, got to have the 23 different flavors and
Yeah,
roll them all at once. And so it's like, can you do it? Yeah. Do you need to? Probably not.
right.
There's no right or wrong way to go about that. It's just
Yeah,
how
no,
much
and I'll tell you,
strain and
Brandon.
headache.
I'll tell you, that's one of the things that has been a challenge for me on the retail side, right? Not so much boutiques or small individual stores, but as I've reached out to grocery chains, right? They want to know how many SKUs you have.
Mm-hmm.
And when I try to tell them, I'm like, well, I only got one. And they're like, well, we'd prefer to work with more. Like, okay, but I can make you as many as you want, but this is the only one that's going to sell. So, it's a fine dance, but it's or is a delicate balance to navigate those. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Well, I had a very I had a game kind of lined up, but I have a better idea here. I haven't done it in a while, but more of a burning choices, which is a this or that type of a scenario. Being in Kansas City, the barbecue kind of scene going on as to be expected. There's some things that a lot of folks they tend to like, they tend to want to know. So it's
sure.
kind of fun little thing here. So I guess for the first burning choices question, we'll start this out easy. Do you like liquid smoke or real smoke?
Oh, real smoke,
All right, all
liquid
right.
smoke, abomination.
Yeah. It's I say this often. It definitely is its own art form. If you know how to use it, you can get away with it. But
You can.
far too often, it seems to err on the side of issues. So
Yes, I agree 100%. Like I can taste when I know when it's in there.
yeah. Yeah, pretty spot on. I think that I've only been I guess full tricked, however you want to view it. Maybe 3 or 4 times total.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. Otherwise, pretty good. All right. Now, next one here is beef or pork.
Uh, to eat beef.
Okay.
If I'm cooking, I I like to smoke pork, ribs and pulled pork, just because it's less forgiving. You're not gonna screw it up, right? Any idiot can smoke a pork butt, without doing too much damage. So, but when you diving into briskets and beef ribs and whatnot, it takes a little bit more skill to know what
Absolutely.
you're doing. Then if you're going to do burn ends and you're not from Kansas City, I pity you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, it's definitely its own craft. That's for sure.
It sure
Okay.
is.
Well, then, sweet tea, unsweet tea.
Oh, unsweet,
Unsweet.
unsweet.
Good.
My wife is a sweet tea fanatic, and my son likes it. And no, I'm not I don't have a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
So I I put hot sauce in my drinks. So my coffee has it, and I've put it in my tea, admittedly. So
Right on. Do the
not a
same.
sweet tooth. Yeah.
I do the same. So you're in good company there. Okay. Okay. And then so I guess really the next one here is kind of a three-way question, if you will. Do you like the standard ketchup base? Do you like the mustard base, or do you go with the mayonnaise based?
Um, that's a good question. That one really depends. So I'm not a heavy molasses fan, and Kansas City barbecue sauce is kind of a molassy sauce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thick. There are some variations that use more vinegar, which tastes really good. But I like a thin level sauce, because if you do barbecue right, the sauce should just be a compliment, and I shouldn't have to worry about what it tastes like, because the meat's what I'm there for. So, but I'll tell you, I appreciate a white Alabama sauce for chicken,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been tinkering with one of those. If I could figure out a way to make it right, then that would probably be a good product that I would roll out. But there's a lot of play in barbecue sauces in the barbecue world for flavors.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I can see that one. That's yeah, very big competitive world that intertwines with so many others. Yeah. I could see
The
that.
problem is when you dive into some of those things, there are way more home chefs out there that make better sauces than commercially are made. So trying to match that is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle on that, and that's why it seems like there's so many, at least from what I've observed, why there seems to be more of these restaurants or barbecue stops in general that tend to have their own signature sauce that becomes like they don't really care. They'll carry the other
Yeah,
stuff, but like they don't
yeah,
really stock it that often. So
right on.
yeah. Yeah. I can see it. I can definitely see where that would be a bit of a tough battle. But okay. All right. Well, I guess this next one here is just gonna go between apple or peach as far as pie go.
Oh, apple,
Do you like
definitely apple.
heavy cinnamon or no cinnamon?
Heavy, definitely heavy cinnamon. Yeah, and a crumble on top if you can.
Oh yeah.
Definitely not a lattice, but a brown sugar crumble, with cinnamon on top is the way to go.
Oh yeah. Oh. All right. All right. Now that I'm hungry. Uh,
Yeah, good.
all right. Well, the next part here, we're gonna just dive into the nugget of knowledge here. Now, this next part here is going to be geared towards those individuals. You know, yeah, when you had this intent, you had the mindset, the focus, you've kept the razor focus on it. What would be your advice to say someone that is starting out or wanting to start out and maybe they're scattered. They're all over the place.
Yeah. Um, that's every day. And that doesn't get any better. But I would say you just do it, right? I hit a time in my life where I had so many setbacks, and I was wanting to get this sauce made, and I was trying to balance multiple things, a career and this hot sauce and my family and everything else that goes on in the world. And I just kept pushing it off. And I just kept saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I made this little step, and oh, this is good, and I can do this. And I said, you know what? I got to try it, right? If I fail, I fail, but I got to make it. I gotta hold it in my hand, and I gotta have somebody try it and tell me, because otherwise I don't know. So I would recommend, if there's that itch, if there's that thought that you want to try to do something like this, man, just go for it. Go for it. The worst thing that can happen is you fail. Um, but um, but yeah, there's no way to learn better than just doing it, because I've learned more since I started than anything in the 3 to 4 months or 3 to 4 years that I planned it
Hmm.
leading up to it. So just go.
Absolutely. Very well said. No better way to learn than to just jump on in. This next part here is the hot seat nomination. So, this is your chance to put somebody on the hot seat. This is someone that you think would make a great guest for the show.
Hmm. Man, there's a guy, and I don't even know these people, right? Well, I know them, social media, no, right?
Yeah.
So, but people I follow and I talk to and chat with and whatnot. And there's this little community that I'm a part of, in a far off world of X, that we share pictures of photos of food and talk about hot sauces and all that stuff. And there's so many amazing people and home chefs that are out there, and other makers who are making hot sauces all over. And it's amazing to me, the community that I've found
Mm.
in my short time. But there are people out there like Ancira Salsa down in Texas that makes a fabulous salsa, and it's a great family. Um, I would say habanero Harmon. I don't know if you're familiar with their
Mm-hmm.
sauces
Yep.
out of Michigan. Oh my God, he makes some amazing fresh sauces that taste like a vegetable garden. But watching his stuff, and what he does, and talking to him a couple times, it's inspiring. It's inspiring what he's done. And then there's people also out there that are simply fans of hot sauce, right? And for no other reason, they enjoy what we make. They enjoy to try it, and they share it, right? And those people are so valuable. There's a guy who I named Stu, who has a profile named Stu Sauce, who does nothing but promote people who make food, and that they love. And it's so inspiring to see somebody take something that you've made, and they embrace it and they enjoy it, right? And so people like that. And there's a uh, uh, LG Cooks. He's even an affiliate of mine. He makes stuff that should be in restaurants, and profiles. So the community out there is so big. I don't know that I would. There's a number of people you could throw a dart and hit that would be fascinating. But yeah, like Ancillera Salsa, Dad's Seasoning, Habanero Harmon, Enoch Flavors, any of those guys would be outstanding. Outstanding here.
All right. Well, thank you for that nomination. I will reach out. I know quite a few of those that you were mentioning, and then I have jotted down those others that I'm not quite as familiar with, and
Yeah,
I'll be reaching out, and we'll find a time to have them on the podcast. I'm sure there's definitely going to be some interest going on in there. So thank you for that nomination. Now,
you
this
bet.
last part here is the where everyone can find you, how they can find you, and any kind of announcements that you want to make. This is a great opportunity for that, and this greatly benefits those that are just audio only listeners on Apple Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good. You can check us out at theheatland.com, right? So that's our website. We sell products through there. Also, locally through the Kansas City area, we're available in all made in Kansas City stores throughout the Kansas City area. There's 11 locations. We're in Hy-Vees here locally in Kansas City as well. We just expanded to the Lake of the Ozarks. It's about 2.5 hours away from Kansas City. And so we're going to be at the Dog Patch down on Bagnell Dam here actually just today. They should have their shipment in. And so we're growing. You can find us all throughout there. We're also located every weekend at the farmers market, the heart of Kansas City, down in the city market, selling individually there as well. And so hopefully more stores, more restaurants to come where you'll find us. But yeah, check us out, because I think when you try it, you'll see what we are hoping to hit, and I think it's a great sauce.
Absolutely. Jason, thank you so much for coming on. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast, learning about
You bet, Brent.
Heatland. So much more, obviously, we can dive into as new products roll out, as new, learning lessons throughout navigating business. There's going to be tons of things we can dive into, so would love to have you back on.
That'd be great. I'm going to get you a sample of the mustard on my next batch run so you could try it out. I'd like to know your notes.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds great. Thanks. Jason, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Has been an absolute pleasure having you on, learning about Heatland and everything you have going on. Looking forward to that spicy mustard as well. If you would like to check out the one, I will have it linked down below for it, as well as a link to the main site, so you can keep up with everything the Heatland has going on and these new products as they roll out. Of course, I will continue to share those here as well as I see those break. So if you would like, new episodes drop every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, with the periodic Thursday rolling in. New Scorching and Swearings will be rolling out here, as well as some very fun announcements regarding some availability for sponsorship. So if you're looking to sponsor the podcast, have a featured segment, whatever the case may be, let's get that conversation started. Reach out on theswearword.net or reach out on socials and we'll get that conversation going there. If you're on a platform that allows for a 5-star rating and review of the podcast, please go ahead and do so. It helps get in front of those individuals that may be curious about the world of hot, all the way to those that have been living it, passionate, and just absolutely thriving in it. And a great way to, of course, stay in front of that algorithm. So thank y'all all, for everyone that has left a review. If you can, go ahead and do so. That would be great. And also want to give a quick shout out for our current sponsors, podvision.io. If you're looking to grow your brand, start your brand, if you hit a bump in the road, you're trying to figure things out, highly recommend checking out podvision.io for all of those needs, as well as webdx.one. Maybe you have an online site. Maybe you had a guy at one point, lost contact. Maybe you just never got around to building a website. Highly recommend checking out webdx.one. Best of all, they get you looking great online while you get to focus on what you do best. I'm Brandon Swear. From everything from the world of hot, this has been The Swear Word.